Hey, hey! I am beyond thrilled to welcome Miss Katina Washington to be in the hot seat today through the Breakthrough series. And before I introduce her, 'cause she's an amazing woman, I'm so excited to connect today. There's a big purpose and a big why behind these interviews. And I want people to have a breakthrough just from listening to us talk about the journey, talk about the battles, talk about the things that we had to do to get to where we are today and what we're continuing to work on, what we're continuing to evolve into. For those that don't know me, I'm a self-sabotage coach. I am a relationship repair coach with yourself and with your romantic partner. And those things do impact anything that you do in life if you don't attack them head on and if you don't learn how to break up with that bully. So we're going to dive into this a little bit today. I'm going to introduce her quickly and then she's going to give you more of the rundown. But she is the founder of the She event here in Indianapolis, which is an acronym for She Has Everything, which is brilliant. And she was awarded a big award this year from the governor. So I'm going to have her brag about herself as well and just start telling part of her story.
Okay, thank you, Meg. I really appreciate this platform.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on and connect.
Yeah, look, I wanted to connect with you, but I didn't know it was going to be this soon.
Yeah, we make it happen. We're action women.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. As she said, my name is Katina Washington, and the creator of the She event. I can't take credit for the She Has Everything acronym because it came from this guy, actually a man.
Okay.
Yeah, his name is Dorian, a good friend of mine. He came up with the acronym. It was initially Shoes, Hot Accessories, and Eats.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how it started out. And then, we changed the name to pretty much include all of the women vendors. Okay. But yeah, that's the She event has been in existence for 8 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so kind of fiddled around to find the, name for the She event because
love it.
Having these different events, which included women and their businesses. And we pretty much just wanted to present them to our friends and family. And it turned into the She event. We had 75 in attendance at the first one. And then, yeah, it grew. We've hit like over 6,000 in attendance.
That's so crazy.
We just recently had our first She event for 2020 on September the 12th of 2020 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
We're in a pandemic, everyone.
Yeah, that was a huge milestone, to be able to have that event during a pandemic. We did have to take temperatures, so we gave out wristbands, and we handed out over 3,000 wristbands. So just to have 3,000 people show up in the middle of a pandemic, I haven't heard any reports of anyone catching corona from the She event, so we're good on that. There was plenty of space where normally vendors wouldn't have as much space. They had a 10 by 10 space this time. Okay. And we tried to practice social distancing as much as possible. But I think a lot of people were just happy to see each other. So we had a good time, good turnout. A lot of vendors gave great feedback that they made good money. I don't know if everyone was saving their money, to spend for a time such as that, but it worked out pretty well for us.
That's awesome.
And so, yep, that's it.
And what award did you win this past year?
Won the Governor's Award for Entrepreneurship, and then I also won the Jefferson Award. Yeah, so I was really happy about that. It couldn't have come at a better time. I don't even know if I would have appreciated the award as much as I appreciated it during this time.
Oh, yeah, that's like the most amazing thing. Not only did you get this award, you handled it during a pandemic. Anyone that does anything during a pandemic, I'm like, yes. Well, I forgot to mention how we met. So we met just a couple weekends ago at our girl, Michaela and Christy. They had an event called Minding My Business. It was a brunch and we were speakers on the panel for this event. So that's how we connected. We didn't really get to connect that much at the event. So I'm like, okay, I want to talk to these people. I want them on. Let's dive deep and, build relationships that way. Absolutely. And so one of the big parts of the Breakthrough series is talking about the behind the scenes, talking about the rawness, talking about the things that aren't a quick fix, that don't, it's not overnight success. It's a continual investment in yourself, your time, your money, your energy, into other people, and what that truly looks like. There was a post, we were talking about this earlier, shortly after you finished the She event, that we had just become friends on Facebook, and I read through and I was like, man, she's being so raw and real, and she's saying exactly how she feels right now, and you had so much support. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah, this was a really hard time for the She event. In November, December of last year, I was waiting. I was waiting to hear back from the fair. I had this idea that, you just fill out an application to have an event at the fairground and that's it. No, it doesn't work like that. They do an extensive background check on your organization. They check with different venues that you've acquired to see, how was the experience with this vendor, Did they leave a lot of trash behind, just things like that. But it's a very extensive background check. And I wanted to have something at the fair, and I knew that it was going to be a huge investment to have it at the fairgrounds. But I also thought that it would bring us more of a diverse crowd at the fairgrounds, versus having it at Lafayette Square Mall, which I appreciated having it there. And I felt like we had a great turnout, but I just wanted us to all be in one space. So I wanted the stage in the middle, because at Lafayette Square, you had all these corners, and I don't know. Go around this way and go around that way, a vendor here, vendor there. And then you have the food court where it's like everything's happening there. They got the stage for the fashion show and everything. So I just wanted a venue where the stage could be in the middle, and then the vendors could be all around the stage, where no one would miss the fashion show and the entertainment. So we're back from the fairgrounds. It's a go. And I'm like, woo, it's very expensive to me to have it there, And so I knew I had to raise the vendor fee from, it was, I believe, $75 at Lafayette Square to $125. Because I still wanted it to be affordable. I vended at a lot of events, so I do a lot of research, on the crowd, the venue, what's offered, and try to make my prices very, very comparable. So we had the go ahead from the fairgrounds, and it was a go. I mean, I had 263 vendors signed up for this. Yeah, and I had 163 vendors on the wait list. Yeah, so that was huge. Yeah, it was really huge. So, we're planning this event, and I'm going to bring a celebrity artist in to be our host. I mean, that was a huge milestone as well. And this event was just going to be spectacular. So Corona hit. And when Corona hit, I started having vendors to back out. I've had vendors to turn, one vendor rather, to turn in a fake PayPal claim on me. Yeah, I had that to happen. And right now I'm gonna be very, very raw, because I think these conversations are these types of things are very conversation worthy. I think people need to know from the organizer standpoint and from the vendor standpoint as well. What happens behind the scenes. And I even received a demand letter from an attorney. I don't know how that worked out, because I would think that it would cost more, than $125 to send a demand letter. But I received a demand letter, for $125, because in the beginning, my idea was, this is just something that's going on. It'll pass through. We'll have the event. We may not be able to have it on April the 4th. It'll pass through. We'll have the event and everything will be fine. Well, the numbers started rising, and so I'm telling all the vendors, because I'm freaking out too, no, there are no refunds. And so when all, those types of things started happening with the PayPal claim and all that, I came back and I said, okay, You want a refund, you can have a refund, because you know what, Meg, it's one of me, and I'm dealing with over 300 people, and it's not just the 263 vendors. You're dealing with a lot of people that are involved. You got
Mhm.
vendors who are going to participate with the celebrity host that's coming in. I mean, you
Mhm.
just have a lot of people that are involved. A lot of people
Mhm.
involved. This time, I decided to have tables and chairs in place instead of people bringing their own. So you just have a lot of people that are involved with this event.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, you can have your money back. Well, I didn't think it was going to be that many people that said, yeah, I want my money back.
Mhm.
And I did it not because I wanted to, or I felt that I should. I did it because I was just tired of the texts, the phone calls, the emails. It was just becoming really, really overwhelming for me.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I'll give you your money back. Well, I processed, I believe it was 70 refunds in one day. Yeah. So it got pretty bad. It got pretty
What was going through your head when that happened? Like that
bad.
particular day?
Well, with some of the vendors, I really didn't know them. They were new to the
Mhm.
event, and I really didn't feel one way or another unless it was more, I don't know, unless they said something that was like borderline offensive to me or something like
Mhm.
that. I really didn't think that much of it. But some of the vendors who had been with the she event a very long time, or for a very long time, or I had
Mhm.
um, what I would call maybe a personal relationship with,
Mhm.
I do have to admit that it did bother me personally, because I know for a fact that the she event had took a lot of businesses from point A to point C.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it did get pretty personal for me. Um, I know myself. If I was a vendor within the she event, and the organizer did what I have done for the community, I probably would never ask for my money back, even if I didn't participate. And the reason being is because I know the impact that it had on my business.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it got personal. I'm not gonna lie about that. My feelings were very hurt,
Mhm.
because what a lot of people didn't realize is I've already paid Raheem Devon. I've already paid for the hotel rooms. I've already paid for the airline tickets. I've already paid, for pretty much everything that we needed to do. And that's what I do every time. Every time I have the event, I pay everything up front so that we
Mhm.
don't have, an outstanding bill afterwards. I already paid for the tables and chairs. We've already bought this, already bought that. So when it came to refunds, and especially after it had reached a certain amount, this is coming out of my pocket.
Mhm.
So it was really hard. It was really hard, for me, mentally, physically,
Mhm.
and financially. Like, it really bothered me. So, to keep a smile on my face, and just keep moving forward, with this planning of this event, my whole attitude was, I just can't wait till this event is over, because I'm going to go up on the stage and I'm going to read off this little, speech to them, and I'm going to tell them, hey, it's been a great 8 years, but I'm not doing this anymore,
Mhm.
because it's kind of like this: when things are great, you have to give the praise to everyone else, or you're considered,
Mhm.
but when things go bad, you have to take on everything by yourself.
Yep.
So that's a downfall to it. So yeah, I just had this speech together, and I was like, hey, after this event is over, I'm gonna go
Yes.
on stage and tell everyone I'm done,
Mhm.
completely done. Um, yeah, I know a lot of kids within the she event, that I had helped. I had helped a lot. So did it hurt my feelings for a parent to want their $50 back? Absolutely it did. Because
Mhm.
in my mind, I'm like, I gave you $50 worth of business advice, or even the adult vendors. I gave you $125 worth of business advice. What about, they have to realize I left my job. I left my 9 to 5 job to do this. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So Honestly, I feel like I should make as much as I did there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
if I'm on the phone with you hour or two, and texting back and forth and emailing you and giving you resources and helping you, there are people out here that charge a lot for that. But this is something that I did because my heart was in it. This is
Mhm.
something that I did because I cared.
Mhm.
This is something I did because that's how I measure the success of the She event, with the success of the vendors who are involved.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a really, really hurtful time for me.
Mhm.
But at the end of the She event, well, first of all, I felt like it was a very, very good event. I thought we had a great turnout. I felt like the central location, like I said, would bring a really
Mhm.
diverse crowd to the She event. Having a kid come up to me and tell me, after the event, Miss Katina, I made $426
Aw.
selling slime. I mean, how do you get up there and say something like that when you hear things like that?
Mhm.
So I don't regret my decision to keep moving, but at the same time, I had to realize that, I know everyone is not going to be equipped with what it takes to move forward with me. And that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. I may go from 300 vendors to 150, but I definitely want to move forward with people who appreciate what I've done.
Yeah.
I don't want to sweep it under the rug or anything like that, because I've really, really worked hard. You
Mhm.
Vendors don't realize the night before the She event, I have friends that I pay to go around and take flyers to the clubs and stuff like that. They don't see all the, background work that it takes to put on
Mhm.
an event of that magnitude. It's a lot of work. And
And
I was
the emails that you said you were coming in your inbox every day, I swear I saw like 1,000 of what you had said. I'm like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, it's and like I don't even do Facebook Messenger anymore, but I could just only imagine. I could only imagine, how many are in there, because I know, every day I'm the individual who checks the, emails for the She event, and the Instagram messages, and I have text messages and phone calls. It's like I'm a 24-hour customer service rep almost.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of work. It's a
So
lot
how
of work.
so with the battles, like, for the battles of questioning, in many ways why you were doing this, your why,
Mhm.
your the financial struggles with the pandemic, what other, like, internal battles were going through your head?
Internal battles were I felt like a lot of things that I had done from my heart were in vain.
Mhm.
Because it's really easy to say, oh, everything's, they really love me and appreciate me and things like that, and to feel like that when things are going good.
Mhm.
But, when things hit rock bottom, and we go through something like a pandemic, and I want to say this too, I get it. I understand, people were scared and they felt like there was just a lot of uncertainty, and I get it. But at the same time, we still have to operate in the real world. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? I
Yep.
mean, you can call your mortgage company and say, "Hey, I'm going through a really hard time, and I'm having this going on and that going on." But if you don't pay that payment for so long, they're going to foreclose on your home.
Yep.
It's like, even though they have maybe programs to extend, your loan, or put your payment on the back end or whatever, at the same time, like, that business has to be able to function. The She event has to be able to continue if you want the She event to continue to service all these businesses here.
Mhm.
So, while I do understand, that there were people who were scared. I absolutely understand there were people who were scared. But at the same time, if you guys want this thing to keep going, there has to be some kind of investment. There has to be
Mhm.
some kind of investment. So, it did allow me to update my contract, because we can't allow that to happen again. Yeah, I can't
Mhm.
take a loss like that again. So I am very thankful for this happening. I mean,
Mhm.
it's kind of like a bittersweet situation, where I hate that this happened, but it's good it happened
Yeah,
because
because it allowed you to have that, like, breakthrough, and
oh,
I feel like it also taught you, just based off of what you've said, it's taught you what you're made of,
yeah,
the resilient nature you have.
it's a real way of measuring things. We have
Mhm,
I don't know, some things can kind of be falsetto.
mhm,
It's cool when you and your girlfriends are on the phone talking and having good conversation and out shopping and all of that. But it's when a situation comes up and how it's handled is how you really measure,
mhm,
your relationship. So it was definitely a way to measure my relationship with a lot of people, and
mhm,
see how they really felt. You know,
mhm,
'cause we had done a lot. We had given out four $250 scholarship, not scholarship grants to businesses.
mhm,
We had our Kidtrepreneur grant, and we had done a lot of things for vendors, during the pandemic. So, there was just a lot of funding that had already been spent, and accounted for, and people just didn't understand business.
mhm,
But then again, you have people who do understand business.
mhm. So how did you break up? I always use it in relationship terms. How did you break
Mhm.
up with the bully, whether or not it was internal that was going through your head, and the things that people were saying, or the things that weren't going the way that you had expected them to go, and move towards that breakthrough where you got through the event and then you made a decision to stick to doing this? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, and I probably haven't experienced it totally yet, because I know I'm still going through this transition, but I know that there are probably a lot of people who would say, I'm not doing it anymore and all that, and I'm fine with that. I am. I'm fine with that.
Because they're
I
not your people. They're not your people. Mhm.
right, and I'm learning. I just used to be one of those people prior pandemic that just wanted to, just have peaceful relationships with everything, and harmony and this and that and other. But I have now um, experienced so much, in these past few months that I understand that, everyone cannot handle the relationship on that level. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So with that being said, I'm okay. I'm okay with severance. Severing ties with some people. And I wish them the best, and I hope they, do the same with the she event. But yeah, moving forward, it's definitely going to be an elite experience.
Mhm.
It's going to be elite experience. Those people who are part of the she event will feel like this is something that I want to invest in. It will
Mhm.
go from an event that I'm just paying to be a vendor at to an investment.
Mhm.
It's an investment um, um, with how can I put this? It's an investment in a lifetime relationship.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
want this thing to go on and on and on. I don't want you to just look at it as I'm gonna go to this event, I'm gonna set up, and I'm just gonna sell my stuff, and that's all that I care about. I want to add a lot of learning in,
Mhm.
and training. So I've been meeting with a lot of different organizations to try to implement that into the she event. More training and
Mhm.
to keep these businesses for the business owners to sustain their business. You
Mhm.
know, I want it to be more relational. I want people to understand the backside of it. More. So I'm working with a videographer, and I'm
Mhm.
going to be doing more things like that. I mean, what you're doing right now, this is perfect. It's
Mhm.
perfect because it's really time out to me to quit sugarcoating a lot of things and to have some real, brutally honest conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, more platforms like this.
Mhm. Yep.
And also, I want to take the she event to another level where it's more of an event. It's an experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm working on right now. And whoever wants to go with me, hey, welcome. Come on in. And those who want to look at it, it's just like just a marketplace.
Mhm.
I don't know what to tell them, but it's definitely going to be an experience here on out.
So think about this. So, you know, we talked about the battles. We talked about breaking up with the bully. This is kind
Mm-hmm.
of what I talked about when we were at the event together. And then the becoming phase. So think about when you started this event 8 years ago
Mm-hmm.
to who you are now and what it's done, not only for you and for other people, but where you're going to be next year. And what you were just saying, how you want this to be an experience. Like, reflect on that and think about who, like, would the 8 year ago version of you have been able to handle what you just did?
Oh,
Like,
no.
you're like, oh no.
Absolutely not. The 8 year ago person would have just crumbled. Would have
Mhm.
just crumbled. I tell people this story over and over again. I remember I had an event and I had a bunch of vendors come up to me because we were having it at Watkins Park, and the kids were playing basketball, and the event had went into our time because
Mhm.
they um they tied the score.
Oh, yeah.
They had to go into overtime. Well, it went into the time that the vendors were allowed to set up. So vendors came to me and they were like, I want my money back. And at that time, it was $25 to be a vendor. And I mean, they literally stood in a line one by one. It's like, I want my money back. I'm like, okay, and I reached in my pocket and had my change that I had for my actual table to vend. I was giving them, their money back in vendor fees. And there were some vendors who are still with me to this day who stayed, who
That's
stayed.
awesome.
And I look back at that and I'll have some people say, oh, you give them special treatment, but you don't know our background.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now, personally, I feel like I give all of y'all special treatment.
Mhm.
But, I appreciate those things like that. I appreciate the fact that they knew me then and know me now, and they have seen my growth. And
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to allow people to see your growth. We always want to appear perfect. We always want to appear perfect, but it's okay. Let
Mhm.
people see your growth. Let people see your logo look like stick crayon, whatever. Now looks beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Allow them to see that growth because I promise they will have a greater appreciation for who you are today.
Yep. And it's those humble beginnings that sometimes you can look back and be like, oh man. But I truly feel, and I felt this in so many things in my life personally, that
Mhm.
God was putting me through a boot camp that just wouldn't stop. So if people have been through a boot camp and the trainer's telling you to do burpees and you're like, oh, when is this gonna stop? And God was like, keep going, you're gonna keep going, and you're like dying and sweating.
Mhm.
That's what it's like. That's what it feels like sometimes. But you have to go through that phase.
Yes, you do.
You
Yeah.
have to you have to have the embarrassing moments. I always say there's no success until you've sucked first. Like, you have to suck and you have to be okay with it. Like, people love bloopers anyway. You're the one out there doing it. So
Mhm.
if you can come to grips, like, this isn't going to be perfect, but at least I'm doing it, while all these other people might be criticizing me, they're not in this arena with me, Brene Brown. And that's the kind of mentality that you have to have. Like, no one else
Mhm.
is in your shoes.
Absolutely.
When you can own that, their opinions aren't paying for the event.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just really want to have these kind of conversations too, Meg, because it I think we talked about this earlier that some people, they just don't know. So they need to hear that other side, so that they will handle you more carefully in the future.
Mhm. Well, hey, I was gonna say that I was thinking about this because this was so good that you said earlier. So I was kind of talking about how, like, in business, the world is set up so that we work a 9 to 5. So
Mhm.
when you go off that path and you have to do crazy things that people don't necessarily believe that you're going to do, or they want you to stay on the same path that they're in to make their self feel better, they don't see sometimes the sacrifices. They don't see the struggles. They don't see the shame you feel sometimes when something's not working and you're like trying to figure it out. And you compared it to being a mom, being a single mom, and like
Yeah.
explain for that, because I thought that was
Yeah.
so
I,
good.
I because so the she event is like my baby. this is something that I love dearly, like I do my child, and I don't expect other people to,
Mhm.
But I mean, I love it like it's my child, and I was, saying it's the what I deal with the she event is like the equivalency of a single mother, who's going through a hard time because the she event has not received the funding I feel like we deserve.
Mhm.
So, right now it's like we're just making it. You know what I'm saying? We're just making it, and
Mhm.
building at the same time. And it is kind of like the equivalency of a single mom going through a hard time, and she takes her kid and she makes sure that the kid is bathed and smells good and has on those nice pajamas and puts that kid to bed, and that kid is sound asleep, with not a worry in the world.
Mhm.
And the mom is in there in her bedroom and she doesn't get any sleep because she's staring at the ceiling, wondering how she's going to make things happen.
Mhm.
So that's how I feel. That's
Mhm.
how I felt during this pandemic. I'm like, how am I gonna, see this thing through? How am I gonna have this event anyway?
Mhm.
A lot of people didn't know that I had to turn in an action plan to the governor's office. I never wrote an action plan in my life, hardly can't spell, okay? And I'm like, seriously. And so, I just had to do the best that I could do, to
Mhm.
make things happen. And it happened, and everyone had a great time.
Mhm.
But no one saw that time where I was staring at the ceiling.
Mhm.
You
So
know,
who'd you lean on? Who was your people or person
um,
when you were breaking down?
I think it was my inner strength. I really do. To this day, I don't think there's really anyone out here who understands um, um, the just everything in its totality. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think there's anyone that understands like I do. But I
Mhm.
definitely had people that were very supportive. And my team that I have, my board, very, very supportive. And I did share some things with them, but I just felt like if I shared everything with them, they would get tired of me and they wouldn't answer my calls anymore.
Mhm.
So I would just lean towards that inner strength that I have.
Mhm.
That to be honest with you, I didn't even know I was that strong. I didn't. I didn't know I was
Mhm.
that strong. But yeah, I have a great team. There were some vendors who were not able to participate in the she event, and they did say to me, because the board agreed, we didn't want to keep their vendor fees because it's just for a lot of reasons,
Right, right.
for one, the contract was going to change. So they would have to sign a whole new contract and things like that. So we didn't want to bring anything over from, this past event to the next one. So, um, I'm not getting off place, but anyway, yeah, I just really pretty much had to lean on me, on me.
Mhm.
Yeah, this was something I definitely felt I had some support with, even from some vendors who didn't participate. But at the same time, I feel like this was still something that I really went through solely. And
Mhm. I was thinking about when you were talking about like the next one. Originally, you said it was in December, but it's going to be in April instead.
mhm.
And I was thinking about having Joy, our 4.5-year-old, sell her lemonade there because we did a lemonade stand this before Corona, and we did it at Derek's mom's house. Mind you, it was the coolest experience because I was an entrepreneur when I was little. I had a bracelet business. Derek was hustling candy and chips at school. Like we were trying to figure it out. And she had this lemonade stand, and her sign was so cute. And we'll probably use it if we do it. But it said 4-year-old entrepreneur in the making. And we had her cousin out on the side of the street marketing with that, and it brought people were throwing money at her, and she didn't know what that
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
For
yeah.
3 hours of work she made $148.50 with $1 lemonade. Well, on the sign Derek put or best offer.
Ah, now that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
But I was just thinking about how cool it would be for her to be able to see that, because it was the neatest. I had tears streaming down. I cried a lot. I had tears streaming down my face just watching her, at 4. being able to
Mhm.
interact and see what it's like to make money and to make people happy. And that was the thing. She wasn't all about the money while it was happening. She said, Meg, they really like the lemonade because it was good lemonade. It wasn't like the kind where you're like,
Yeah.
it was just really cute for her to experience that. So I could totally see her doing that, and supporting her and
We would
getting her
love
to
to
be
have her.
experiencing all of it and stuff too. So
We would love to have her. We
yeah.
would love to have her.
So what would you like to leave everybody with or give them insight on when the next event is and what that looks like or anything you want to leave people with?
I I've been on this big reciprocity thing. I would say, if you have a business, and you invite someone to breakfast or lunch, to discuss your proposal, have something that you're going to offer them as well. It doesn't have to be equal,
Mhm.
but I just think the best relationships are those that contain reciprocity.
Mhm.
I really do. I think it should be reciprocal, period. I think anytime you have a relationship where people are taking and and not giving it, I mean, I think everything in life is about balance. We've been taught, a lot of sayings and things like, oh, you give from your heart and all this stuff, and that's fine, but the other person should too. you know,
Yep.
um, I just think that that makes for the best relationship. So, in business, in life, period.
Mhm.
Even, you say your relationship coach and all that stuff. So I'm sure about reciprocity and
Mhm.
things like that. So and especially if your people need to know that however your relationship is, it bleeds into your business. However your finances are, it bleeds into your business. How you handle things, period, it bleeds into your business. So just try to practice reciprocity at all times.
Mhm.
And I promise things will be a lot better. There'll be a lot of less disappointment.
Yeah, and I feel like it leads to a better bond because
Oh,
you're not
absolutely.
always the person for someone to run to. You also have someone to run to as well.
That's right.
And, on this road, that's not the case always.
Hmm.
That's why I had to kind of ask who was your support? Who were the people you actually could do that with? Because people just assume when you're doing stuff like this that you have thousands of people to do that with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I like I said, I have a great support team. I have a lot of vendors who support and everything, but I also feel like there's a lot of things that you will have to do on your own. It's
Mhm.
just a journey that you have to face on your own.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm excited
Thank
we got to
you.
connect and that you got to share some
Mhm,
of your stuff and hopefully it helps bring more people into the She event this next season,
mhm.
and you get re-inspired, which it sounds like you already are, but just pumped
Absolutely.
up, and it's going to be a cakewalk without a pandemic going on.
Yeah, yeah. And even though things are a little iffy right now, I have no doubt that we're going to have an amazing event, in April. We
Mhm.
are going to be launching our shemarketplace.com
Mm,
in
okay.
November. So we'll have vendors as well that participate in the she event on that site. It's like it'll be Indies on little Amazon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I love to have you and your daughter on there, as
Yay.
well. So we'll be launching that again November the 15th. Really looking forward to that, and really looking forward to fostering potent relationships.
Love that.
Yeah, potent relationships, long lasting relationships,
Mhm.
respectful relationships. Um, with people who are sensitive to business and what
Mhm.
it takes to run a business and
Mhm.
sustain a business and keep it afloat.
Mhm.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm excited. And like I
Mhm,
said, having stuff like this for people to hear is going to make them love and respect more what you do, even more than what they did before. And
mhm.
they're going to realize that you're human, but you're also a superhero.
Mhm,
You do all this stuff. So I appreciate you so much. And
mhm.
I'm excited to continue to connect.
And I appreciate you as well. I definitely want to spread the word about what you do, and
Yeah.
because I know there's a need for that out here.
Everybody needs it.
Yeah,
Everybody needs
yeah,
it. When you
yeah.
think it doesn't affect your business, it does.
It most certainly does, you know. Um, it affects your life, period.
Mhm. Yep. Self-sabotage is a hard thing to maneuver and figure out how to get out of your own way. So
Yeah. And you know what? And another thing, when you speak about self-sabotage, like me not telling the other side was in a way self-sabotage because people
Mhm.
didn't know.
Yep.
They didn't know that in order to have a stage there, you have to apply for a permit with Homeland Security. You know what I'm saying? They
Yep.
don't know that other side. So, you know, a lot of times when we keep things from or I can say, you know, in regards to she event, you know, me not being that open with the vendors, you know, to let them know. I don't have to let them know everything, you know, just sharing and having that relationship with them where I explain to them the other side of of business. That's why I
Mhm.
am teaming with Power to
Mhm.
bring that component to the she event where
Mhm.
you know our vendors are taught the other side, you know, so
Mhm.
they can better understand and we can better understand each other. It's kind of like you being, you know, in a relationship with your spouse or significant other, and you're like, well, you never do this or you never do that. And they're like, I never knew you wanted that. You know, I never knew there was a need for that. So just having that open, you know, dialogue with each other so that you understand each other's needs and you try your best to meet them.
Well, we call that women tend to do this more, but a suicide. So
That's
you assume they should know, but you've never told the male what you need. And
exactly.
it's never going to get to where you want until that communication happens. So I think
Exactly.
that would definitely be cool for you to do
Mhm.
more of that this year. And I think it's going to be a business lesson to them in of itself too.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it has been for me, you know. So yeah.
2021, and your
Oh
launch this
yes,
year
yes.
too.
And we're gonna go out with 2020 with a bang. There's some
Yeah.
great things that are still gonna happen this year.
Yep. Well, I thank you so much. Until next time, we might do another one. Just never
That's
know.
right. I'm looking
Maybe
forward
we'll
to
do one next year after April to see where you're at.
sounds
This is
good.
a
Or we
year.
can even do it before we
Mhm.
have the April one, you know. I'd
Yeah.
love to. And I'd love to. We have a cohort class that we do every weekend for Saturday and Sunday.
Mhm.
And I'd love for you to come on and be a guest speaker.
Yeah, give me more info. I
I
love it.
sure will. I sure will. It probably won't be as detailed as yours was. You know, you sent me everything, and I'm like, oh my God, I felt like really important.
You know what? To be honest, because we're talking about behind the scenes, let me see if I could find. So the person that does business with me that makes all my stuff pretty,
Uh-huh.
she's the person that does stuff like that. When I sent her
Oh my
hers, it was
God.
handwritten.
Oh, that's so
I
cute.
decided I needed to be a little more professional type, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You know, it still would have worked even if stuff wasn't typed yet. It's
Oh my God, that's so funny. I looked at that. I was like, this is real. But yeah, it was so nicely done. I love the invitation and everything. So, I mean, you have given me some insight. I'm like, I need to step on my game.
yeah. Hey, we both have things that we both don't know what we're doing, but we're figuring it out.
That's right. That's right. So thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate this.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna hit end. Bye guys.
Okay.
Thank you.